So I think, Andy, are we good to go? Okay, awesome. Okay, so hi everybody. Welcome to our monthly add-ons show and tell. Today is March 18th, 2021. We're joined today by Sylvain, Risha, Rob, Luca, Andy, Jorge, Shane, and Andreas. Yay, thanks everybody for joining today. We have a really exciting first show and tell from Risha, our current outreachy intern. So Risha, give us a little bit of an overview of what you've been working on, and then we would love to see your final project. And I will stop sharing my screen so you can share. If I can find the UI to do that. Okay, there we go, all yours.
Yeah, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Richa from India. So I am currently working with Mozilla inside Outreachy from last couple of 3 to 4 months. So it's been a very good journey, and I will continue contributing it after my Outreachy interns end. And so, talking about my project, I'm currently working upon the user giving user more control over add-ons when they are in container. So wait a second. So this is my problem statement. Currently container add-ons once installed have access to all the containers, right? But we want a feature where we can restrict containers from installing the add-on. For example, if a user wants to do online transaction inside bank container, but do not want their personal credentials to get exposed to add-ons, so to solve this conflict or solve this bug, I was working upon that. So we can move. Yeah. So my project's primary task was to identify the tabs, identify the APIs, identify the methods which needs to get modified, which internals needs to get modified, so that we can restrict container as per the user preferences. So for that, we made a generic function as a wrapper which can check the accessibility of tab. This generic function has two conditions. First is the access of window which was present, like private or non-private, and the second condition was to check the accessibility in containers. The flowchart of the flow of the can access container, which is now working internally, is like a container restricted. It checks that if container is restricted by default. If yes, then add-on does not get access to that container. But if not, then it checks that if that add-on is restricted for that container, vice versa, then also the add-ons does not get access. And if no, then add-on get access of that container. And so the status report as of now is we have completed 4 APIs: tabs, web navigation, proxy, web request, and they are fully completed with test files written. And currently I'm working on content scripts. And before general release, we have to cover most of the APIs before the release, and we have yet to decide the user interface and user experience of this feature, like how the user will actually solve, or how the user will change the preference and install, or how the user will get notified that this feature is now available, or how will he use this feature by to checkbox or toggle the container, or so we have yet to decide this. So I can give you a quick demo about what I have done. So here is my current nightly. Let me change the pref to normal. So right now there is no pref and there is no restricted containers, right? So this is personal Google and this is work. So in Google also, this is tab extension. Tab extension uses many tabs method. Actually every tab method, tab, that is why I chose this. So tab right now, as it is working for Firefox, it will check detect language of personal container also, and it will check detect language of work container also. as you can see. But now if I change pref and make second, which is work container restricted, then in personal it will work normally, but in personal, yeah, in personal, and in work it will, as work is restricted, it will not work. Nothing will work. I will reload, it will not work. Personal, in personal, reload will work. So yeah, and so then no, wait a second. Yeah, so then this project has benefit. Personally, I learned very much, and for Firefox, it is beneficial as for obviously there will be the privacy of the user will be intact, and although the user will get more control over the add-ons, it will be more flexible for user to install add-on only in work, only in personal. For example, if a user wants to, there is an extension named spell checker. User wants to do that add-on only in work. So it will, he or she will only install that extension in work, not in shopping. And same vice versa. Price checker only in shopping container, not in work container. So yeah, that was all about my project. I have been working.
Thanks so much for sharing, Risha.
Yeah.
That was a great presentation. At this time, I would like to open up the floor. Does anyone have any questions for Risha?
I have one question. I know that you're currently working on content script, so I'm curious, how would that work? Like if you change the restriction for a tab, would that tab need to be reloaded so that the content script doesn't run on that tab anymore?
So as far as I remember, I have yet to start a content script API. I have to read all the stuff, all the docs of content script. But as during my application, I did half of the work. And in content script, there is problem that there was no cookie store ID. So we have to install, we have to add cookie store ID in the internals, which can identify if it is coming from same container or not. So yeah, I think I have answered your question or not.
I think partially. So indeed, as Rika said, you need to identify the container. But what Jorge was asking is whether extension automatically uninjects the content script whenever the preferences change. That implementation is still not fixed. It still needs to be determined. But I imagine that extension needs to reload and then the changes are effective. Changing things at runtime would be rather difficult.
I confirm that that's true because we may nuke the sandbox that contains the content script, and that would go away. But the extension may have injected something into the page, and we cannot clear that easily without actually reloading the page to restore the initial clean status of that page. So reloading is definitely the only solution that gives you confidence that there is no trace of that execution before that was done before.
In long term, thanks. And long term, there would also be a question of what happens when a new extension is installed or when a new container is added, because then you probably don't want to reload the whole extension. That is all part of the UI UX investigation for future. For now, we just need to make sure that internals support isolation of add-ons and containers. That's the minimum to start with, what Rika has done for APIs.
It's also kind of similar to what happens with the privilege browsing permission. Like if you flip that, you still need to reload your incognito tab to be sure that they are totally clean. If you do that after they have been injected once.
I have a question that I think was out of scope for this project, but did y'all talk about what the UI would potentially look like for users?
We did during my application process, and I have something in mind, but I don't know if it is right or wrong. Firstly, I have to cover most of the APIs, and then we will move to UI and UX. Yeah.
I confirm that Richard submitted some proposed UI as part of the application. We couldn't block on that because like the internals needed to be ready first, and the UX needs more analysis to be sure that we are on the same page with also like the UX designs that maybe have something different in mind. There is a UI for the containers list that is in about preferences, and we thought that was probably a good place to expose these new options. But yeah, we didn't actually work on that, so that's open to changes.
And these changes are currently based on preferences. Those preferences are hidden by default intentionally because the storage format is not fixed yet, and we'd like to potentially change it in the future to better fit the UI and UX needs. I guess that the patches will land in 89. So if people want to test, then they can try out the preference, look at the bugs that Rika has linked from the presentation and from the document, and then feedback is welcome.
Oh, that's so cool. And 89 goes into nightly next week. Yay. So good. Any other questions for Risha? Cool. Risha, what's the most surprising thing you learned while working on this project?
From day one only, I'm getting surprised and overwhelmed. First, in the first 2 weeks, the code base was so big. So it took me 1 or 2 weeks to understand the code base. And then every day I learned something new. For example, nullish, optional chaining. So yeah, in the last meeting only, I was telling to Rob and Luca that I don't want to leave it right now. So I just want to continue contributing it, as I don't have any other commitment as of now. So yeah, so I will be continue as I know I can understand now. So I will be continue contributing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, congratulations on understanding the code base in 2 weeks. I've been here for like 5 years. And I'm like,
I just know the file which I have worked on. I don't know any other file.
That's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Risha. It was really great to have you here, and thank you so much on your for presenting, and congratulations on wrapping up your internship. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So we're going to turn it over to Luca now for an update about WebEx.
Sure, not as exciting as what Richa presented, but I wanted to be nearby Richa to present something to you, and so I thought that mentioning the recent releases would have been nice. So the new major release of WebEx has been released last week, 6.0.0. The breaking changes, there are only 2 breaking changes. One is we deprecated Node.js 10. Is now that is not going to work absolutely, but we don't support it anymore. So it may break, especially because the extension also are deprecating gradually. The other breaking change is only a breaking change if you were using this option in the config file. We basically moved the file name option inside the build command options where it was actually belonging, and yeah, that's moved. And so if you use it in your config file, you need to change it. There are more details about that in the release notes, and also along with other changes that we landed in this version. So feel free to take a look at that and report any issue that you may have. We upgraded a lot of dependency also between major releases, so there is a chance that some of them may have regressed something. So if you know this, file it. The other major release we recently released is the Add-ons linter version 3. The breaking change here is also the same. The Node.js 10 version is deprecated, is not supported anymore. There is some other changes. You can look at the full changelog to know more. And that's all. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks for the update, Luca. Any questions about WebEx or the linter? Okay, cool. Well, building off on a linter, I just want to give a shout out to Andreas for saving our WebEx compat tool, which is used for the site extensiontest.com. Extensiontest.com was built in 2017 as part of our process for helping Chrome developers check their extensions to see if they're compatible in Firefox. The person who built Extension Test left Mozilla in 2018, and the project was in limbo after that. So when we finally were able to pick it up again and figure out how to look at it, we were very close to it being killed by the Heroku stack deprecation. So thank you so much to Andreas for just diving in. There were like a bunch of open issues, and Andreas closed like 40 of them last night. So I just wanted to say thank you, Andreas, for rescuing it from the brink of death. And our next steps on it is to check the analytics on that site to see if it's still being used. And we probably need to update the logo on that site and actually figure out if we want to keep it around. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Andreas. So thanks so much for coming in and working some magic.
Happy to. Thank you for the kind words.
So we've got about 10 minutes left. Is there anything else that anyone would like to share, or is there anything that anyone would like to share on behalf of someone else who's working on an add-ons project? Okay, very good. I think that was 11 seconds. So thanks everybody for joining us today. Thanks to our presenters for presenting. It was really lovely seeing everybody. And in the meantime, keep working on some awesome stuff, and we'll see y'all for the April show and tell. Thanks everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.